Chairman, good afternoon. It's our privilege to be here before the Honorable House this afternoon. I must apologize for my voice. I've had a bad cold. I lost my voice and it's slowly coming back. Mr. Chairman, I'm here this afternoon with the Deputy Chair in charge of operations, Mr. Madusule. We have a Commission member, Hajia Sadatumeida, and then we have 3 directors, the directors for Human Resources, Electoral Services, and Communications. Mr. Chairman, we've been asked specifically to brief the House on the first issue being the total amount collected from media representatives for covering the 2016 general elections. Mr. Chairman, from the records available to us, we had 4,271 applications from interested media houses for accreditation. Out of that, the Commission charged a fee of 10 Ghana cedis per card. This covered the actual cost of printing the card, the lamination, the provision of tax, which was 8 Ghana cedis, exclusive of VAT and NHIL. That's what the printer charged. There were also 273 journalists, technicians, political party and candidates, representatives, and observers who were accredited without charge to cover the processes at the National Collation Center. So we also, other than the 4,271 cards we issued to the media, we issued 273 cards to the other parties who were allowed into the National Collation Center without charge. So in total, we collected 42,710 Ghana cedis, was collected from the media houses. We paid out to the printer 42,713 Ghana cedis for the printing. Mr. Chair, should I go by it again?
Please repeat the figures.
Okay. In sum, we had 4,271 applications from journalists for accreditation. We issued 4,544 cards because that includes the 273 persons who were allowed into the National Collation Center. The printer charged 8 Ghana cedis exclusive of VAT and NHIL for each accreditation card. We charged 10 Ghana cedis because we had to cover the admin costs and the taxes. In total, from media houses, we collected 42,710 Ghana cedis. In total, for media accreditation and the NCC, we paid to the printer 42,713 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos. 713, 60 pesos. Mr. Chair, we also have copies of the payment vouchers, the invoice from the printers, the official receipts we issued from the printer, and the waybills for the cards we received from the printer, which we can leave with the leadership of the House.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, that has to do with the first question, the total amounts collected from media reps. The second question is to do with the replacement cost for lost or misplaced voter ID cards and how these amounts have been applied. Mr. Chair, we charge a fee of 5 Ghana cedis for each card that is replaced. We have opened an account with the Ghana Commercial Bank, Boundary Road. We opened this account on the 22nd of December 2015. And all monies we charge for replacement for lost or misplaced ID cards go into that account. For the duration up to the 24th of July 2017, we have collected 2,590,000 Ghana cedis, 590,000 Ghana cedis, 80 cedis and 47 pesos. That is 2,590,080.47. That's the total amount we have collected from the public for lost ID cards, the replacement cost. We have not expended any of that. To expend it, you need the permission, you need to seek the consent of the Minister of Finance, so we have not expended any of that so far. I think that answers both questions, Mr. Chair.
You are done.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Very well. Honourable members, that's the answers to the questions. If there are any follow-up questions now, I'll take them. Honourable Chukwu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in the chairman's answer, the chairman of the Electoral Commission, when she was the chairperson, when she was answering for the lost and replaced IDs, she said they were charging 5 cents, but the total amount of money she got, surprisingly, had some percentages. Is it what resulted in the net having percentages? Because you said it was 5 cedis each, so I wanted to know how the total had some percentages in there.
Mr. Chair, I think it's because also of the structure of the account at GCB. Into that account, we pay the filing fees received from presidential and parliamentary candidates. We pay the printing, the cost of printing the accreditation cards and monies we collected. We pay sale of tender documents is paid into that account. There are some times when we do non-statutory elections, when organizations come for us to conduct elections. The materials we use, the indelible ink, the seals and all that, we bill them the cost. So when we receive it from them, we pay it into this IGF account as well. And then the sale of any obsolete items. And then the biggest item there is the lost and replacement ID cards. When we requested our account statements from Ghana Commercial Bank, just for this year alone, it ran into about 1,300 or so pages because of the 5 CD transactions. So it's difficult to compute and separate that. So it's easier to actually take out the filing fees for presidential candidates, the filing fees for parliamentary candidates, all the other items, subtract it, and then the figure you have would come to would be the cost, would represent the cost of the replacement of ID cards, because it's the most voluminous transaction, and it's difficult for you to add it all up separately. And so that is why you'd end up with a point situation. It's because of the volume of transactions and the different kinds of transactions, Mr. Chair.
Yes, the questioner is here, so I thought that he will have to be given space to first raise his own supplementary questions. But the Speaker, before he comes in, I want to know the number of applicants for the card replacement. Did you say 42,710?
No, Mr. Chair, I said the number of pages of the bank statements in trying to print the bank statement.
So how many people? That's the question.
Mr. Chair, my deputy tells me, he's a stats person, it's about 518,000.
When you divide, yeah.
And 18,000.
Yes, Honourable Engineer.
Thank you, Speaker. I think the question says we want to know the amounts collected. So we're not talking about expenditure. But I think she's come out to say 518 applicants for the cards, and then 4,271 applicants plus the 273 without charge from the media. So now I think now she can go on to explain to us how. I was going to add a further question, which she has also addressed: the filing fees for the parliamentary and presidential candidates, which she has also addressed. That is fine. But like my own, the honorable minority deputy leader was also alluding to chip. Sorry, I was promoting. Sorry. These were round figures: 10 Ghana cedis, 5 Ghana cedis. So the 47 pesos and the 60 pesos for the 47 pesos in relation to the voter ID cards, and 60 pesos in relation to the media charge. I find it a bit baffling, and I need further explanation on it, please.
Sources for payment. The receipt was specific, 42,710. But it says because they printed other cards, the total expenditure was what included 0.60. But she will still explain the 0.47 further.
So, Chair, in some of these matters too, particularly the printing of the media accreditation cards, there are also tax issues. When you're paying out to the printer, you'd have to deduct withholding taxes. So those tax computations would create the point situation. When it comes to the lost ID card replacement, I explained that it was not an exact science. Because of the volume of the transactions, we took out the big items that were easier to take out, subtract from the account balance, the filing fees, sale of tender documents, election materials, because those are fewer transactions. And then the figure that was left now represented what we had collected from sale of lost, the fees we charge for the replacement of lost IDs.
Mr. Speaker, I think my last question. I want to find out from the chairperson why these amounts were not captured in her budget estimates submitted to Parliament for scrutiny and approval in March. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, it must have been an oversight. I would have to talk to the Director of Finance or the Deputy Chair of Finance who prepared it.
Well. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Engineer, you have one last chance, and I'll give it to you.
One last chance. Mr. Chair. Thank you. The budget for the Electoral Commission has been approved without these figures. According to the budget estimate that was submitted to Parliament, the internally generated funds was zero. Now we've been given figures by the chairperson, and I want to find out from her how he's going to rectify that. Thank you.
I don't know. Oh, the question is that the budget for 2017 has been approved without these records. So can you explain how you deal with this fund?
Well, Mr. Chair, fortuitously, we cannot spend these monies without the consent of the Minister of Finance. So we would have to go and sit back with the ministry and see if we'd have to do a revised one, but we can't expend it without their consent anyway. So it's not as if the funds have disappeared. They are there and they are safe.
Yes, Rasmumara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, public funds are supposed to be lodged with the consolidated fund. Correct me if, what is no. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Wrong.
Your funds, does that apply to you? And if it does, what interest has accrued from the lodgement of the payment of the monies for the ID cards into your account? Because you mentioned some monies were for the ID cards. were Mr. Chairman, in her brief, I'm not done. In her brief, she once is lying, she's required by law to deposit it in the consolidated fund. Have you done so? If you haven't, whilst the money were in a current account, does that accrue some amount of interest?
Mr. Chair, respectfully, when we checked our balance yesterday, the monies were still lying in our account, so it has not been transferred to the consolidated account. And I do not believe that Ghana Commercial Bank pays interest on current accounts. We'd have to put it on call, which we have not, and I don't think we have the consent to do that.
She says the money is in the account, so she's conceding they have not transferred it to consolidated, and Commercial Bank does not pay interest on their current account. Yes, you've been on your feet for a long time.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman. In fact, I want clarity on a matter that the producers of the cars charge 8 cedis, and they loaded 2 cedis to make it 10 cedis. Did I hear that?
Order. Other members, order. Please resume your seat. She will answer before. Yes, please.
Mr. Chair, the printer charged 8 cedis, we charged 2 cedis, but I did say that the 8 cedis charged by the printer did not include VAT and NHIL. By the time you apply that, you'd have to round it up to 10 cedis anyway.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the question is, the monies were paid. In both cases, the monies were paid, one for accreditation or replacement of cards, and the accreditation was given. Were the cards replaced? If they were replaced, how come that there's money still in the account?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part of it? You said if they were paid, how come what?
The monies, the 10 cedis and the 5 cedis. The 10 cedis was paid for accreditation. 8 cedis to be used to be paid to the person who was going to do the cards, and 2 cedis to compensate for the taxes. The 5 cedis was to be paid for the replacement of the cards. And that was before the 2016 elections. We've been told how the 10 cedis was used. And just the simple question is, were the lost cards replaced? Yes. If they were replaced, how come that you still have money in your account?
Mr. Chair,
Honorable members, order. She's answering, please.
Mr. Chair, I think the two issues are being confused. The accreditation cards are election 2016 specific. The lost voter ID cards are not election specific. That is an ongoing everyday transaction. people go, this was an accountability mechanism we had to put in so that staff in the district offices were not collecting cash directly for printing cards. It does not cover the total cost of that service, but it's a kind of subsidy. And we're getting a situation where some people could come 3 times in a week and say they had lost their cards. So the accreditation cards, that account closed when we finished elections. We accredited, we printed the cards, we paid the printer, that ended. For the replacement of lost voter ID cards, that's an everyday transaction. As soon as you pay into any GTB, then you can take the slip and go to any of our offices and show. We also had to start charging to take, try and subsidize some of this cost so that government does not bear the entire cost. So this amount, and that's why we need the consent of the minister to expend this. Even if we want to use this monies, which we're thinking about doing, to support the GOG budgets in terms of the cost of the laminates and all the things that are going to printing replacement ID cards, we still need to get the minister's consent. But now we do it from funds we get from GOG. We buy the laminates, but there are some times when we don't have funds from GOG readily available, but people are still going to the offices every day and need these cards. And so the plan was we'd seek the consent of the minister, get his consent so we could use it to support that service for ongoing card replacement services. Thank you.
Honorable and free.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the Commissioner's response.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Free.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would like to know, in the context of in the context of the media doing its work, policing the actions of the day only to provide information to the citizenry. Mr. Speaker, what is the reason behind charging journalists 8 Ghana cedis? 10 Ghana cedis. What is the rationale? And is this going to be a precedent? What is the rationale? And is this going to be a precedent? Thank you.
I'm not sure about the precedent, but this was not the first time the Electoral Commission had charged journalists an accreditation fee. It had happened, if I recall, in the District Assembly elections. We charged 8 cedis September 1, 2015. So it wasn't the first time. When it comes to media accreditation, you get applications from local and international media. It is entirely impossible to project and to have a sense of how many you are going to be printing. We also print accreditation cards for election officials, EC staff, and some observers. Those you can plan for and you can include in your budget because you know how many people you're going to be using. When it comes to media, you have no sense of doing it. And so you can't budget for it, but it's a cost that has to be covered. It's also important for even the protection of the media themselves because you need them to have access around polling stations into collation centers to monitor what is going on there. And so you need a very visible form of ID. A suggestion has been made that we should have media houses present their own ID cards. And we're like, in the heat of an election, somebody will knock him down and kick them out of the room because you can't even be sure that it is a genuine staff ID. And so we don't think that it is too significant a price for media to pay 10 Ghana cedis for them to get accreditation, which protects the democratic process and also protects the journalists because it gives them access, it makes it very visible that they are a part of the elections. Judging by the numbers we got, 4,271, and the way that the media covered the elections very effectively, We don't think it is a bad practice. As to whether it is a precedent and will be continued, I think that's a decision that only the Commission can take. I cannot speak to that at this point. Thank you.
Has spoken. The Forum for Governance and Justice would also speak. Mr. Chairman, in responding to the question, the Commissioner indicated that some journalists who were allowed in the collation center did not have to pay. Can she give us the rationale behind the decision for those journalists not to have been required to pay as the rest of them did? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Access to the National Collation Center was restricted, even because of the size of the collation center. So we knew, once we knew that you could have the candidates' representatives, the candidates' agents, the party agents, we could determine how many journalists we could allow in there to ensure effective coverage. So that, because we could determine it, we could also budget for that, and so we could provide them with accreditation tags without having them pay for it. Thank you.
Chairman, the chairperson just said that the replacement of the ID cards is a continuous process. But in an earlier question, Honorable Eugene asked whether there was any provision in the budget for IDF, because their IDF was zero. So if indeed the replacement is a continuous process, why is it that in their IDF they indicated they will have zero for that?
Well, your colleagues are confirming that she's already answered it, so you were probably not, your mind, so your question is overruled. Yes, Honorable Member for Wemfie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the explanation to the amount raised, the Commissioner said that the printer charged 8 cedis, and that the printer did not include VAT and NHIL, which we know it is a statutory requirement. They decided to top it up with 2 cedis so that they will use that to meet these obligations. I would like to know whether this is the usual practice of the Commission, that they normally add an amount in order to pay these taxes on behalf of their contractors, or was it a special arrangement? And if so, why for this particular contractor?
Mr. Chair, I think, I don't think that's an accurate picture. When a vendor is quoting for a service, they would quote either VAT inclusive or VAT exclusive. What I meant was that the 8 CD quote was VAT exclusive. So when you are also now doing your computation, you need to factor that in to get your rates, including VAT. It is not a practice. Different vendors will quote differently, and you have to make sure that whatever they quote, if it's VAT exclusive, then you have a duty to add the VAT and compute it properly.
I heard the EC chairperson say earlier that the monies collected are in a bank account and that they will have to seek permission from the Ministry of Finance before applying. Is it the case that the Commission in 2016 was not allowed to keep and apply its internally generated funds?
No, Mr. Chair, it's not the case. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Bantama.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask the Commissioner a simple question. Who are the signatories to the account and how were funds in this account expensed? My question is, who were the signatories to the accounts in Commercial Bank and how were, and how were funds in that accounts? Can you describe to us how the funds in that accounts were expensed?
Yes.
The reason being that You said 42,713. In your answer, Mr. Chairman, in her answer, the Commissioner said that 42,713 cities were expensed. So I would like to understand the process by which funds in these accounts are expensed.
Honourable Member, you may want to file another question later, please. Yes, Futu. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in asking my question, I would like to make it clear that I'm relying on Order 67(1)A and J of our rules book. Having said so, Mr. Chair, the Commissioner has said in her answer that the account that they opened at the Ghana Commercial Bank was not only for the lodgement of monies received from lost ID cards and issuance of ID for journalists. Other services they provided, including the filing fees, primaries conducted, were lodged into the account. Now, we know that as a fact that certain monies, as alleged, did not go into the account. I am, yes, my Lord, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, I have already said that Order 67(1)A provides a question shall not include the names.
We know the rules.
Very well.
If you want to quote, then I'd rather remind you of G, shall not be excessive in length. They're already being excessive.
Very well. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to know from the EC Chair whether she is able to tell this House if some of the payments received did not go into the account with respect to payment from political parties on primaries, because that has been part of the answer.
Yes, this is not relevant. It's not relevant to the district. Obviously. It's in ADB account.
Mr. Chair, I think I need to go over the list of payments I mentioned. I never mentioned primaries. I said into that account we paid filing fees for presidential and parliamentary candidates. We paid in the cost of the receipts from printing of accreditation cards, sale of tender documents, sale of election materials, replacement of lost ID cards, and sale of obsolete items. The account I also mentioned was opened on the 22nd of December 2015. At that time, almost all political party primaries were over. So those are the payments that went in. We can also tell you what we paid out of it, but we never mentioned party primaries. Thank you.
Most grateful, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. I want to ask the chairperson of the commission if she can my question is, can the chairperson of the commission throw some light on the procurement process used? And moving forward, do you think that it will be in our national interest to consider this particular activity of the Commission being funded for, so that the media is free from having to pay for accreditation and all of that. Moving forward, should this activity of the Commission not be budgeted for from central government of Ghana funds, so that we can spare the media this particular cost. As you do know, they do spend a lot already recruiting additional staff to support the media houses, transportation, and all of that. And so in the spirit of Chapter 12 of the 1992 Constitution, can we begin to consider a system where we spare the media these additional charges moving forward? So these are my questions, Mr. Chairperson.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, but I don't have details. I don't have details of the procurement process because I was not asked to provide that. I don't have the details here. And I did say earlier that it's something the Commission would have to look at. I don't think that I should speak when the Commission has not considered it. But I think the difficulty is in the budgeting, because you have no sense of how many people are going to apply for media accreditation. Elections are huge. And you also cannot restrict the number of people who apply and say, because we have a budget for only 5,000 media, so we're only going to accredit 5,000 media. We need to open it up. And so it's a bit of a juggle, so we'd have to look at it.
Mr. Chairman, in answering an earlier question, the Commissioner, I believe, said they dealt with a supplier who charged them 8 Ghana cedis for the printing of replacement cards, and that this did not include
not replacement cards, accreditation.
For accreditations, and that this amount of 8 Ghana cedis did not include VAT. Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the Commissioner whether, as a state institution, dealing with a supplier without paying or charging VAT is the right thing to do.
This question has been answered about 5 minutes ago. So, oh, sorry, probably you are not paying attention. Yes, the film call. Very well. Thank you very much.
We didn't say we did not charge. We said the 8 cedi quote did not include that. The 10 cedis we paid included that. We didn't say we didn't pay VAT.
Yes,
thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to premise my question on Article 46 of our Constitution 1992. Mr. Chairman, it says, except as provided in this Constitution or in any other law not inconsistent with this Constitution, in the performance of its functions, the Electoral Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority. Mr. Chairman, the Electoral Commissioner has mentioned a litany of activities that they undertake as a commission. So my question is, in all these activities, do they have regulations governing these operations? And if so, do they follow them in carrying them out? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I believe so. I mean, filing fees, sale of tender documents, election, these are all covered by law. I mean, we are not, the Electoral Commission is not subject to the control of anyone in the performance of its functions, yes, but the EC is subject to the laws of the Republic, and so we try to, at least we ensure that we comply with the laws of the Republic in all activities. Thank you.
Last one, Esma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm most grateful. I'm having a bit of difficulty with your figures, Madam Chairperson. You indicated that 4,271 applications were received and 273 were accredited without charge. This together would make 4,544. If you were charged 8 cedis for each of those cards, it would amount. If you were charged 8 cedis for each of those cards, it would amount to 36,352. if you charged 10 cedis for each of those cards, it would amount to 45,440. And in your answer, you also indicated that you paid a total of 42,713 for printing the accreditation cards. There is some discrepancy there that I'm grateful if you could clarify. And again, when it comes to the replacement of the lost cards, you indicated that about 580,000 cards were issued. At 5 CDs, that would be 2.9 million CDs. And you also indicated in your response that 2,590,080 CDs, 47 pesos was the amount that you received for these cards. And you added that you had not expended this amount. So there again, there's some discrepancy between the 2.9 million and the 2.59 million that you received. If you could clarify that as well, I'd be grateful.
Mr. Chair, with the accreditation, let me start with the lost. The replacement of the ID cards, I did explain that it wasn't exact. Because of the volume of the transaction, the 5 CDs going in all over every day, the easier way was to take out the amount we had received for the other activities. And what is left, attribute that to the lost ID card replacement. And the 518,000, it was a quick calculation we did here, it's not exact. If you want us to again pull out the exact records, then we'd have to go and collate it, go through the account and give you how many times people have paid 5 CDs. But it's going to be a very long activity because it's like transactions coming in every day. Is it?
Don't listen.
No, because you're looking at a bank statement. But when it comes to the accreditation card, we were accounting for what was paid out of the IGF account. And that's where you have the 42,713. We also paid from our GOG operations account, the cards that were budgeted. So all the polling staff had ID cards, EC staff, and some of the observers. So those ones are not included here. Those would be part of the accounting under our GOG account. When the question was sent to us, we were asked to talk only about the media. And so that's what we restricted ourselves to. Yes, still baffled.
Honorable Chairperson, I want to ask how many printers were chosen to print these ID cards? And again, whether the contract that was awarded was done in lots or was done in a lump sum. These are my 2 questions. How many printers were given this contract to print the ID cards, and were they made in lots or in a lump sum? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, like I said earlier, I don't have those details here. I can go back and provide them, but I restricted my documents to the specific questions that were sent to us. So we may have to come back to answer that. I don't have the details here.
Yes, Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, in responding to one of her questions, she admitted that in applying for accreditation, both local and international media applied. I want to find out from her whether they were all charged 10 cents or there was a variation. The second issue is she also told us that the printing cost was 8 cents. And then VAT, they charge 2 cedis for VAT. I also want to find out from her, is it the responsibility of the electoral commissioner to charge VAT for the producer, or it is the producer's responsibility to charge VAT out of the 8? Okay. If that one is addressed, Mr. Chairman, 17.5% of VAT on the 8 cities is 1.4. 1 city, 40 pesos. And if you add this 1 city, 40 pesos to the 8 cities, it now becomes 9.4. So where is the 0.6? Thank you.
She'll answer you, please.
Mr. Chair, it should have been very awkward. It should have been very awkward to be charging journalists 9 cedis 40 pesos. So in our earlier submission, I did say that by the time you add the taxes and the admin charges, it's better to round it up to 10 cedis. I did say that. There was also, you did ask if we charge local and international media. Yes, we did. Yes.
Minority leadership, do you want to ask any more questions? Start with the minority leader and then come to.
The Speaker, he's already said he has no questions. But he said so. He just said so. Unless he has changed his mind. If he has changed his mind, I will resume my seat.
Very well, I'll give you the chance to ask a question. You're a leader.
I remember you have to ask a question.
I'm chairing this particular session, so I thank you for ignoring him. Speaker, I generally find the answers of the chairperson to the matter on the amount of money collected from the media and its representatives covering the 2016 general elections and matters relating to replacement of lost ID cards generally satisfactory.
Honourable members, order. Order.
Speaker, I note that this meeting was to be in 2 phases. One, the one you are presiding over, and I see an indication of one with leadership. Mr. Speaker, with the leadership one, my own view will be that referring to Order 93 of
Honourable Minority Leader, please. You sought permission to ask a question. I guess that if there are any other issues, we'll discuss them as a leadership. Can we finish with this one and discuss the subsequent ones as leadership?
It's a procedural issue I'm raising, Mr. Speaker.
Not at this forum. If you would just ask the question,
we
will
find
discuss.
answers generally satisfactory, but the meeting with leadership is mute legally and not necessary. I submit so. Because the President has referred the matter to the Chief Justice appropriately, respecting the Constitution. Therefore, we have no business engaging her further until the matter is so judicially determined. Thank you.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have no intention of joining ranks to turn question time into a praise singing forum. Mr. Speaker and Chairman, the chairperson, in an answer to the substantive question, indicated to us that the EC did not factor the monies that she has now related to into the 2017 budget because, as I said, it was an oversight. I want to know from the EC and the chairperson if this answer is satisfactory to some people. It is not satisfactory to us.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, the EC chair is here. I'm being told that she didn't say so. Unless people have wax in their ears. Respectfully.
You can't just be getting up as a result.
Something that has just been said here. You say that you didn't say so.
You have not been there to talk to people yet.
What is this?
What do you feel you are?
Mr. Speaker, I'm chairperson. He didn't say that, he didn't merely say that, he didn't hear. He insisted that she didn't say so. That's the issue.
Honourable members, can the leaders resume your seat, please? The leaders, kindly resume your seat. Honourable members, Honourable Akando, I can hear you from here. Honourable Majority Leader, now I'll hear you.
Mr. Speaker, and Chair. Mr. Chair.
Well, Honourable Minority Chief, do you want to say anything?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, with a greater respect to you and the leader of the House, I will be very grateful if the leader withdraws he hopes that people don't have wax in their ears. I know.
You can shout.
Mr. Chairman,
You can shout.
Amen. Please sit down. Mr. Chairman, I know my senior colleague. So you want us to do it, or what do you want us to do? Mr. Chairman, I hope our senior colleague will take clue from him. And even though, especially when the person shouted, I'll be grateful if the leader will withdraw the use of that word, referring to police, so that we can have some money to do it. Thank you very much.
Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Chairman, the issue was not that I didn't hear the Commissioner say so. The insistence was that she didn't say that. Mr. Speaker, if nobody said so, then it doesn't affect anybody. If nobody said so, if you're not saying that nobody has said so, then it doesn't affect anybody. In which case I can go on. Mr. Speaker, if we are being told that nobody has said so, then no, I don't owe anybody an apology. As simple as that. If you have said so, And then the chief will be saying that I should take a cue. That would be a different thing. But now we are being told that nobody has said so.
Honorable members,
nobody has said so.
Let me remind you.
It doesn't apply.
Honorable members,
Then it doesn't apply.
let me remind you that this is still plenary and the rules still at play. You are sitting there. We won't hear you. Meanwhile, the motion has been made by your leader. You are standing up. We won't hear you. Meanwhile, the motion has been made by your leader. You expect me to rule? On what? So if you allow me, then I will use the rules to manage this meeting.
Yes.
If you want to go the way of other parliaments, probably I will withdraw.
You are part of it.
Honorable Majority Leader, the Minority Leader has requested that the word you used was offensive and he wanted to withdraw. I want to hear you on that.
Mr. Speaker, I heard somebody say to us, after a categorical statement has been made by the chairperson, that it was an oversight, the fact that they did not capture it in the 2017 budget. Then somebody, I allude to it, and then a member is saying that the chairperson did not say that.
We are talking about what? Yes.
Unless that person had wax in the ears. It's a categorical statement that the chairperson has made. That I raised. Now I'm being told that nobody has said so. If nobody has said so, then Mr. Speaker, it must be considered unsaid.
You are part of doing that.
No. Withdraw and apologize. Mr. Speaker, if the person said that I didn't hear that statement from the chairperson, who's that person? Then Mr. Speaker, I would apologize as what is. If the person said I did not hear the chairperson say so, certainly withdraw. That will be different. And I will apologize to that person. If the person said that the woman did not make that statement, I owe that person no apology. Mr. Speaker, if I may go on. You not go on. The chairperson said to us. The chairperson said to us that will apologize to that person for the use of that. Because this is a house of records.
Yes.
And the woman is here with us. If the person said that the woman did not say so, that's because I owe that person no apology. That's the issue. Because we all heard the woman say so. If you are insisting that the woman didn't say so, I owe you no apology. As simple as that. This is a house of records. And you cannot corrupt what anybody has said here. You can't corrupt it. It's a house of records.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I note that you yourself have reminded honorable members that this proceedings is governed by the procedures of this House, appropriately so. I also note that you reminded the Majority Leader, who is leader of government business, to be wary that he needs to carry the House along. Mr. Speaker, Order 93, as he knows, 93.2, the use of the words wax in ears is offensive. Mr. Speaker, to quote him, or for these purposes to paraphrase him, that this is the house of record. What you are referring to and insinuating, is it in the record? It is not. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, what you are insinuating and referring to is not in the record. And it's not part of the record. You must address the chair. And the chair says there is a response. What you are responding to, which is a matter of record, is what the chairperson have relayed to this House. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, for the majority leader to go out of his way and put wax in people's ears. But you clean them. Mr. Speaker, I want the majority leader to take guidance from you and carry the House as its leader. And that on this matter be seen, even though you are not the great leader that left. Aspire to be one. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker and Chair, I insist the minority leader has wax in his ears. He does. True or false? Mr. Chairman, all of us have wax in our ears.
Yes.
Except some have more than others.
I have wax.
You have wax in your ears.
Honorable Majority Leader.
But, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you see, there are men who are timorous souls. They will not speak to the mic. And when you want to hold them, they are saying to you that, oh, please speak to the mic. Be courageous, be bold.
No, not courageous. Be bold. Be bold.
Mr. Speaker.
Be bold.
Mr. Speaker, if I'm being told that the person who made the comment was not courageous to speak to the mic and therefore was not captured, then it didn't happen. So, Mr. Speaker, in which case, what was supposed to be on what I heard, which now I'm being told was not captured, I withdraw that. But if it's bold, let him speak to the mic. Speak to the microphone. You can go to your radio and say what you want to say. This is a House of Records. And when we make any statement, you have to bear the consequences. As simple as that.
Please continue.
As simple as that.
And ask your question now.
The question is to the chairperson of the EC. And I insist he made a statement that it was an oversight that led to their not capturing that amount in their budget. And I'm asking, when was that discovery made? The discovery of that amount sitting in the account. When was it made?
Sorry, Leader, can you repeat the question?
Mr. Chair, the chairperson was categorical that the amount did not find expression in the 2017 budget. And she said to us that it was plain oversight. It was just an oversight. I'm asking, when did they discover the amount was sitting in that account that was not captured in the budget? When was that discovery made?
Mr. Chair, when I got the letter from Parliament inviting me to come and speak to how much we had collected for lost or replaced ID cards, then we requested a bank statement. And that's what I found in the bank statement is what I've come to report to the House.
So you made a discovery just when you had the letter. You made a discovery just when
the House asked her to come and answer. That's when she discovered that this was stated.
Otherwise, we're not going to discover that any such amount sat anywhere.
Mr. Chair, I'm not the entire commission. There are other people who work on these things. I'm speaking for myself as chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, that is very informative.
Mr. Chair, please let me explain.
Mr. Chairman,
Can I explain?
Mr. Chairman, the
Honourable
chairperson.
Leader, she says she has further explanation to that. She says she has further explanation to that. Can you allow?
Mr. Chair, the way the question was couched is when did I discover? And I'm saying I, as a person, when I got the letter from Parliament, I requested the bank statement, and then what I found is what I've presented. There are other people who work within the department on this every day, so it's not a discovery matter, so to speak. They must know what is being paid into the account and what is happening there.
So when you said it was an oversight, were you speaking for those of them who cover that, or for yourself? No.
For myself, because I have not spoken to them yet. If you allow me, I'll go and engage the technical staff who prepared the budget and find out exactly what happened.
The question was, how come that it didn't find expression in the 2017 budget? And you told us that it was an oversight. So how can you say that you were speaking for yourself?
Because unless I engage them, I cannot give you any other explanation. If you allow me, I can go back, sit with the technical people, and then come back to you.
So in that case, you should have told us that you need to consult the officers in charge. What you tell us? Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether any group here in this house is constituting itself into the defense force for the Electoral Commission. I can understand this. Mr. Chair, because when the question was asked, how come that it didn't find expression in the budget, the response was that it was an oversight. If it was your personal oversight and not that of the Commission, certainly it should have found expression in the budget. So I think the necessary understanding or implication was that it was an oversight on the part of the Commission. That is why it is strange you now saying that, oh, when you said it was an oversight, you are referring to yourself. But let me leave that. Mr. Chairman, the chairperson was asked a question about the procurement process. And he says you have to further consult. He doesn't have that now. Is that my understanding? Whether the process. May I know
and how many printers?
How the services of the printers were procured? Mr. Chairman, it's a different question. It's a different question. It was whether the allocation to the printers were allotments. Mr. Speaker, just to clarify it, what came from my deputy was whether the allocations to the printers were in allotments or how were they done. I'm asking, how were the services of the printers procured? That's a different question.
Mr. Chairman, I think we were asked earlier about the number of printers. We were asked earlier about the number of printers and the lots, and we said we'd have to go and check the records and come back. So I think it applies to the services, how they were procured. We would have to go and check the records and come back to you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, the ID cards, the accreditation cards, is it the one that, are those the ones that were hung on the necks of the people that you accredited to observe the elections. That is so. And between that and the ID cards, the laminated ID cards, with all the details that you provided, the ID cards, the accreditation card is much more expensive, in fact, twice as expensive as the voter ID card.
Mr. Chair, the first one, the accreditation cards are not printed by the Commission. It's outsourced. The ID cards are printed by the Commission. From our VMS, we have the printers there, so it's an internal matter. And we did explain that even that, the 5 cedis we charge, it is not the total cost, it is subsidized because it's a service we give to the voter. But it was getting abused. Some people could come repeatedly every week, they are replacing the ID card. But that is something we do in-house at the district offices. The accreditation cards are outsourced, it's a one-off contract.
So what is the cost of printing an ID card? Now, since you are doing it yourself, you cannot tell us the cost of what?
For me to cost that, I would have to cost the cost of the infrastructure we already have in place, the VMS, the printer. It's only the laminates that would buy and the paper, but the other costs.
Hello, excuse me. What's your name? What's your constituency? The gentleman said, yes. Bauer, you are disturbing the house. I hear you from here frequently. That's why I have to focus on you.
So I was saying we would have to go and check that and revert. It's not something I can answer off the top of my head.
I thought the lady, the chair, coming to respond to this. And since he had disaggregated, that is the printing of the cards for the accredited journalists, which he puts at 10 Ghana cedis, and that of the one they do themselves, we'll be able to put a cost on it. Now he's telling us that she has to go back. She has to go back and do the computation. Mr. Chairman, no further questions.
Very well. Honourable members, we will bring these proceedings to a close, and then when the commission members, I want to thank you for coming to answer questions. The chairperson and other members of the commission and staff who are here. As and when we need further clarification, we will call upon you. But those who have asked time to bring, kindly package them and address them to the speaker. Thank you very much.